Hey guys, so in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to draw braids, and I figured out a really easy way to do it because I was looking at a braid one day and I noticed there's sort of a zigzag pattern right down the center, because I know some people just go in and draw these lines and they'll draw this one and this one and that one, but that's just a little bit too tricky for me sometimes and my braid ends up looking all wonky. But if you draw in this zigzag first, it actually turns out quite well. So I'll show you how I do that. So I guess to start off with a zigzag, and I do my lines roughly at a 90-degree angle right here, but if you increase that angle the braid will look a bit looser because mine tend to look quite tight the way I draw them. And these lines are getting shorter and shorter as you get to the bottom because the braid tapers at the end. I'm not going to make it too long because that'll take a while to do this video. And if you want, you can add in some guidelines for the thickness of the braid. You might not need these, but if you want to plan it out ahead of time, you can draw in some lines, just like this. And then to draw the rest of the braid, you just start at the bottom of one of these lines and just extend it upwards, just like that. Same thing on this side. And then you have your general shape of your braid, and then you want to make it actually look like a braid, so we're going to add in some round edges right here. Same thing on this side. And at the bottom I just draw a little bubble like this, and another one on this side, and then I draw in the hair elastic. I'm just going to do a simple elastic for this one. And then at the bottom, because the elastic squeezes the hair is going to puff out a little bit. It can be a lot or just a little bit, up to you, but it's going to puff out some, and then it'll taper. And it could be just taper into one point, it could have a little curl at the end. I'm going to make mine have a couple different sections. Just something like that. And then it still looks pretty stiff, not a whole lot like a nice braid. So what I do after that is I round out this bottom piece here. So this is very, very square at the bottom. So I just color in the corners to make it a rounder shape. And I also like to fix the top too, because a lot of the times where this curl right here meets this straight line, it's kind of a pointy corner, so I like to round that out too. And I'm just going to speed this part up because it can be a little bit tedious to watch me do that for the entire braid. Alright, so now most of the braid is done, and you might be wondering how you connect it to the head. Well, what I do is I just sort of extend these two top lines, and it depends exactly what kind of braid. If you only have one or two braids on the head, this might have to bulge out a lot because you're going to have to eventually link that to the entire head. But if it's just a longer but skinnier braid, you might not even make it stick out that much. It just might sort of fade into the rest of the hair. But I pretty much just extend it like this and extend lines in every direction. You can see I sort of kept this line, so this piece of hair is still in front, and then it just all fades into the rest of the hair. And it helps if you draw strands, and that's another thing I like to do, is draw some strands on this part. And some of the strands just sit sort of in the middle, some go on the end and only make their way partially across. I don't like to draw very many that go all the way across. If I'm drawing a smaller braid, I definitely do that a lot, but when it's a close-up like this, I try to make it more random. Again, I'm not going to show you the entire thing because that would take too long, and I do that on the bottom as well. And you want to make sure these lines are curved to the shape of the braid. So it's a 3D object. I know you're drawing it 2D, but you have to think of it as its 3D shape and sort of follow the curve of the actual object. So now I'm just going to show you again how you connect it to the head using this as an example. So you can see I kept this chunk right here. It looks just like this chunk but without the end. It just sort of fades into the rest of the hair, and I added a couple lines. So that's the way you can connect it to the head. So this braid here is a lot like the one I just did in the tutorial. It has very round edges and it's quite uniform. It's not very messy looking, and it's okay to do that for cartoony drawings because it's a cartoon, it doesn't have to be perfect. And then for this one here, I have sort of pointier edges to the braid just to make it look a bit more cartoony, and even this bottom part here has sharper corners. It's just a stylistic choice. And I have this big one right here. It's sort of a fatter braid. It doesn't have to be fat like this, but I just showed how you can get a bit more realistic detail while still making it cartoony. I just added little chunks of hair that stick out at certain sections, and you can see this is a very crooked line. It's not just a smooth line like on this one, so it makes it look a little bit more realistic and messy while still being a cartoon style, I guess. And then I just added a bit more detail on the ends too. And then I have this little one here. This is really good for simple braids or really small braids. You know how some characters have their hair down, but they just have skinny long braids in their hair? That's really good because when something's small, it's hard to draw a lot of detail in it, so a lot of people just do their braids like this. And all it is a bunch of little, sort of like a half of a heart. You just draw this one, then that one, then this one, then that one, and just make your way down. It's pretty simple. So yeah, those are just different braid styles. And I hope this tutorial was helpful for you guys. I think I'm just going to end it here because that's all I have to say. And thanks for watching. Alright, so now I'm going to get to the winners of my giveaway. Thanks to everyone who entered. I had 630 comments by the time I ended the giveaway, so that is insane. So thanks everyone who commented. Yeah, everyone had an equal chance of winning because I just used a random number generator, and there were 3 winners. So I'll just quickly go over the prizes again. There's all 8 of my bookmarks. They're all double-sided, so there's different characters on the back. And then there's these 6 buttons. There's Aang, Katara, and Sokka from Avatar, Harry, Ron, and Hermione from Harry Potter, and you also get this Prismacolor Colorless Blender pencil. Alright, so the first winner was Stuffers1, the second winner was Canine Puppy Dog, and the third winner was the Diva3121. So congratulations, guys, and by the time you see this, I've probably already messaged you asking for your mailing address, and it'd be awesome if you guys could get back to me as soon as possible because I'm going to mail them out all together, so I have to wait for all 3 of you to get back to me before I'll mail them. So yeah, congratulations again, and thanks everyone!